Of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thank you so very much for your time.
Good being with you.
As you well know, we're expecting to hear from the president an hour and a half from now regarding the crisis in Iraq. Do you support airstrikes? What do you see as the priority option that should be pursued first here?
But number one, I agree with General Petraeus that we don't want to be in a situation where it looks like we are the Air Force for the Shiites, or that we are just against the Sunni. It's got to be something that's a collaborative event where the Iraqis, both the Kurds, the Shiites, and the Sunnis of Iraq, there's got to be some kind of coming together there. And so therefore there needs to be some demands on Maliki to show that there's going to be an inclusive government. That has to be. Otherwise, just to bomb for the sake of bombing is not going to resolve the solution. But I will be carefully listening to the president, because I understand if you have a certain target that based upon our intelligence that is important for us, and we're doing it in a regional way, you know, because there's other countries that are involved also, and I think it's very important. So I'll be listening for that. And if there's an agreement and there's a pointed target, I'd listen to the president, as I did previously, and I think that I'll be open ears. But I don't see just going in to just drop bombs to drop bombs. That's not the way to go.
Well, to your point, and Peter Alexander, a correspondent in Washington, D.C., discussed the fact that within Washington there's great concern about Maliki's future and whether or not there will be a push for his resignation. Our own Richard Engel reported at the beginning of the week it appeared that Maliki's priority was military and not reconciliation or a government of inclusion, that his focus was perhaps military support from the United States and not doing some of the very things that you outlined. So what would be the consequences? How do we push this partner, if he is that, to these things that are necessary to quell this violence?
When you do that, then you got to look at what's in America's national interest. And clearly, it's not in our interest to be involved in a sectarian war. That's not, you know, if there's no danger to America and to Americans in that regards, there's no, and I don't see an immediate danger, despite what an individual who used to be the Vice President of the United States has said, led this country down the road with his irresponsible decisions when he was in office, and trying to take us right back there when clearly we lost 4,500 lives as a result of those bad decisions. How dare he come and even raise his ugly head at this time? I'm just sorry, I'm upset about that. But the president, I think, is doing something in a calm way. He's checking all of the intelligence and trying to make the determination. And I will be carefully listening to what the president has to say in regards to what his plans are, and be judged accordingly. I will attend, for example, as many classified hearings as I possibly can in meetings, so I can obtain knowledge. I'm not ready to shrink away from making a decision as a member of Congress. I do believe the president probably has the power to go ahead to do what he wants to do under the Iran Authorization Act. But, you know, I was back in 2002 and 2003. I was in Congress on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I listened, and I gave President Bush and then Vice President Cheney every opportunity to convince me there was a connection to 9/11 or that there was weapons of mass destruction. They did not show it. Because it wasn't there, I voted no, and I'm ready to do what I think is in the right thing right now.
Obviously, I see your frustration and, quite honestly, your anger regarding the former vice president's words, this op-ed in which he says that rarely has a U.S. president been so wrong about so much at the expense of so many. I want to play when this question was posed at the daily briefing with Jay Carney and his response. Let's play that.
Because rarely has a U.S. president been so wrong about so much at the expense of so many, talking about the situation in Iraq and in the Middle East generally.
Which president was he talking about?
That drew laughs, but obviously caught a lot of attention. Which president is he talking about? Do you believe that the former vice president is acting irresponsibly and attempting to erase history and decisions that he pushed at one point were decisions that we know George Bush did not support?
Well, you know what? As I was sitting here and listening to that and listening to the laughter, you know, at least he's being consistent. He was dead wrong then, and he's dead wrong now, and he's never been right. But I just wish that we stopped covering him because clear, all the evidence is in. Everything that he said back in 2002 and 2003.
What do you believe is motivating Vice President Cheney? What's the motivation here?
I have no clue. I mean, I have no clue. I mean, if the guy should just go, stay retired, you know, take care of his health and just keep his mouth shut, if there's, you know, anybody, you know, Senator McCain said something about firing people. Well, if anybody should fire anybody that he has, Cheney should fire all of his people and McCain should fire all of his because they haven't been right on anything.
Congressman Meeks, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. And a reminder, in about an hour and 15 minutes, we should hear more from President Obama regarding this